What's going on, Scorpio? Welcome to your creative energy forecast for June. There is a lot happening this month. So on June 4th, we have a Saturn retrograde, which is a great time to kind of dive into, to dive into the different systems and structures we find ourselves in placed in, the rules and traditions that we've let, become the sort of overarching templates in our lives, and we don't have to really do a deep dive. I feel like the energy will just bring things up naturally. And I feel like the universe's speed is ease, right? That's its sort of natural set point, and we complicate that in a variety of ways. So I think what you might find happen is things bring this to the surface and just bring about questions within us that bring us to different places of healing and light within. So after the retrograde begins for Saturn on June 4th, we go into this full moon in Sagittarius on June 14th, which I feel it will be this rush of optimism and an infusion of optimism into this reviews that have begun with the Saturn retrograde. This is possibly also going to be an expansion of how firmly we are adhering to our beliefs and things that we hold important to us. And further to that point, on June 28th, there is a Neptune retrograde, which will no doubt help us to peel back illusions that we hold about ourselves and the world around us, given its emplacement within these retrograde periods otherwise. And it'll also be a good time to look at the things that Neptune is more of a redeemer energy, right? Our relationship to this sort of redemption and redeemer. And I'm getting the impression that for this, it's going to be a kind of a look for the collective at what things we're looking at to help us and save us, right? We look at systems and, structures and organizations and things like that. So I think it's going to be a reorganization of those priorities and some illusions that we might hold about them and ourselves and our power within them too. So I think that's going to be peeling back a little bit too. And then, so generally speaking, though, for this month's readings, what came to mind was photosynthetic dreaming, which was really this way that we are dreaming ourselves to life through these processes that we undertake within us that nobody can really see, but that transmute and take these raw energies of sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide, and then turn them into a kind of sweetness for ourselves, I should say. And we turn it into fuel and oxygen so that it's almost like it gives life to other people, but we have no idea that we're even doing it because it's just a process of transmutation that we undertake within us. And then further to that, for your reading in particular, what I got was this sort of comparing sunlight to moonlight, and this idea of prioritizing one for photosynthesis, like the way that it helps you grow, prioritizing something. So we would look at sunlight and say, well, that's something that promotes photosynthesis. Moonlight doesn't. So is it as important? And, does it have the same energy? And, moonlight does promote photosynthesis. It does in algae and marine plants, not the ones underwater necessarily, but the surface ones, surface dwelling ones. And also moonlight is still required. So even though it may not shine as bright a light, this is where I'm feeling like some kind of Neptune retrograde energy is going to come in, because people may say, well, the moon doesn't really do much, but plants do need it on a regular basis, because what it does is moonlight helps to strengthen the immune system, resistance to pests. It also just promotes overall health in plants. So they need this exposure to moonlight as much as sunlight. So it's this delicate balance. And it's just sort of comparing sunlight to moonlight as well in terms of comparing ourselves to others. And I got this energy for you quite strongly, Scorpio, where it was about comparing these different, like comparing yourself and these different parts of yourself, but they're all beautiful. So it's like really needing to understand that about yourself, and that within us we have a sunlight and a moonlight that helps to internally photosynthesize. We don't necessarily have to rely on it externally, but understanding that both of them have such power, strength, and beauty in them in the ways that they work within your energy. So that's what I got at the outset when I was meditating on the energy. So just comparing sunlight to moonlight. Again, like this, I had this idea of like sunset and moonrise. So they kind of sit in the sky across from one another at certain points. In the summer, you can see it much more clearly on cooler nights, because the humidity can often put all of this particulate matter into the atmosphere that makes it difficult to see. But there are times where you can see them just sitting across from one another. And it's such a quiet time of night, and you can hear hear the crickets start to chirp, you know, or or frogs if you're around my area in the spring at least. But just it's almost like this, the evening, the world of the evening, the earth in the evening comes to life at that point, and it's just this sort of sunlight to moonlight, like making these comparisons. So let's dive in though, Scorpio. I feel like I've talked at you for a minute here. And my wonderful assistant here is sleeping on the job, but that's fine. We'll forgive her because she's adorable, right? I don't want to disturb her. She's like not really sleeping, so you can see her ears moving, but it's fine. So I would like to invite the angels, my guardian angels, my spirit guides, protectors, teachers, and their healing energy to this space. And I ask that it is a safe and brave space that allows for the fullest expression of our light, humanity, ascension, and healing. Okay, so I'm going to pull from the Hero's Journey Dream Oracle here. You can hear the train going through town. What would your higher self do? A bunch of signs got this before too. So I would check out, I think it was between Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. I think 2 of them got it. So double check that. So what would your higher self do though? That's a great question to ask yourself, right? What would your higher self do? And I get this idea of this moonlight, right? Like that's where your higher self is meeting you. Maybe astral projection as well, I'm seeing or hearing at night. Could be something that you're working with or within. Yeah, what would your higher self do? Yeah. And divine drunkenness. Surrender to your spiritual reverie. Yeah. I feel like that's really beautiful and powerful. Very Leo energy, if I do say so myself. That's so interesting. I find that as I've gotten older, I really just don't like the feeling of being drunk. Like it just, but it's like, I think what I'm picking up on here is like this feeling of enraptured, just like feeling yourself enveloped in beauty and in being so enwrapped, like just wrapped up in something that it takes your breath away. It takes your breath away. So this is the Elemental Power Tarot. So I'm pulling from here. All the links are to the decks are in the description below. So do check that out if you would like. Spirit, what message do you have for my Scorpios? Okay, so I see this is very interesting. The 9 of Swords, but in this particular iteration, I get like our responses to conflict that throw us out of balance. Responses to conflict, because I see here that like the 9 of Swords in this particular iteration is almost like just scattered thoughts, like they're going in every which way. But then it's also, these are, I almost envision this as being like ways we manage and handle conflict, each one on their own or within a constellation of responses and behaviors. And I'm hearing learned behaviors. So there could be something that you're unlearning this month about yourself or ways that you've done things before. This is because that's the grounding energy. So that's what we need to ground this month. And the growth is coming from this 6 of Wands here, which is really beautiful. It's almost like you're remembering your sense of not mastery, but like command over yourself. And it's funny because when we take responsibility and like over the things that like do work or don't work or whatever, but when we take responsibility for those things, it transforms us in a way that is like, that is a victory. But it's one that we gave ourselves that victory, right? It's not one that found us on the path. It's one that we cultivated. And that could be this energy of comparing sunlight to moonlight and just the different purposes that they serve, but how they're both so crucial and critical. And of course, Scorpio, I feel like it would be your sign to operate in that depth of reaching outside of photosynthetic processes to ask for the other light involved in a situation to go just that little bit deeper, right? And for it to be involving water, right? Like, because moonlight does photosynthesize algae and marine surface life, right? So it's just fascinating to me how the energy came up. We also then have the the Knight of Pentacles. I think there's something about the speed of something, Scorpio, or there's like finding the signposts to mark progress. Like there's some way that there's like wanting to know that things are working out as they should be, or it's just, I think this is showing up in the block position. So when I look at this, I see like that signpost, and it has like all of the different directional signs going in different directions, telling you how many kilometers away something is. But I feel like there's no kilometers on it. You just see that that's the direction to go in. So it's almost like there's like a slow and steady path that you're not quite sure of, but there's something about it that makes you want to take it, that's compelling. And I think that may be something to listen to. Death, yeah, this is definite. I mean, it's your energy, and this is beautiful because I just smelled a cedar tree beside, like in the woods. And so when I went for a hike on early this week, I was standing beside this. It was very rotted and it was hollowed out, and the ecosystem around it had very much reclaimed it. But of course, I stuck my head close to it and gave it a good sniff. 11:11 on the time, and it was just this beautifully rich. It was, you could smell the life and the transformation of that tree into something else. And there was a little tiny cedar that was just a tiny sapling that was growing from it. So it was a really beautiful iteration of how life supports itself, and just how every component of the woods and the earth matters so deeply to every other part of it. So this deep web of life. And I feel like there's something about that that's flowing through you in terms of this creative energy this month, specific to that, just different ways that you're working through conflict responses. So like grounding that, but then also I think that what you're stepping into is this sense of victory over not just yourself, but like victory over your beliefs about what's possible to an extent because of the swords here. But then with this Knight energy, I see that there's a block in terms of like pace. Like it's almost like I'm feeling like can't get there fast enough, like, and it's just a pause maybe, and you know, it's when it's like, it's not bad, it's because you're excited for something or about something, so it's like reaching for that energy. Spirit, what do you have for my Scorpio for this June creative forecast, please? Whoa, these shuffles are a little bit all over the place. So I'm seeing the 3 of Swords and the 5 of Cups. So I definitely get that this is conflict responses, or like there's things that you learned, like ways that you learned to protect yourself, ways that you learned to worry. And like people say that we can worry productively, and I believe that to be true to an extent, but then is it worry or is it something else entirely, right? Because worry can be, it's not always helpful, and it's not a good, and not to say that there's a good or bad use of our energy, but does it honor you? Like, does it feel like it, does it resonate at the frequency of honoring you, the way that you're seeing this different, these different conflicts here? I feel like there's a way that you've been working with this energy, and you've been standing in it and working in it. I'm getting that there's maybe you're just used to this. Maybe you're used to being in the energy of like, well, you know, the 3 cups are going to spill, so I might as well let them spill. There's just something about that sort of, and it's not cynicism. It's just like when you've experienced specific hardships or difficulties, you just come to expect the difficulty more than the thriving, which isn't bad. Like, it's not about just, you know, being optimistic for the sake of itself. King of Wands. I think there's something that's caught your eye, though, Scorpio. It could be a project. It could be an idea. It could be a job. This could be a person. Like, something's just caught your eye, though. Because I almost get that you were, like, in this kind of belief, this response to conflict. Let me move the cord here. this response to conflict. And then I get the impression that you like, it's like you're something, it's like caught your eye, and it's helping you to channel that energy into something that's healing for you and more in alignment with your passion, right? It's like transmuting that energy of worry and loss and all of that stuff into something different. So it's like alchemy. There's like an alchemization or an alchemy that's happening within you in June. And with the retrogrades, it would not surprise me, because sometimes with Neptune retrogrades, we can see ourselves as like, we can see the things that have happened to us more clearly, because it peels back that sort of illusion energy about not just how things have happened to us, but realigning what's happened to us in a way that sharpens our perspective of self. And the Knight of Pentacles, again, repeating energy here. When this happens, what I often see is that this tells the story of how we got to this block. It happened in other readings so far too. And this is the blocked energy. So the Knight of Pentacles. So I almost feel like this is sort of like the maybe the thing that you're excited about. There could be a project that's caught your eye. Like I said, it could be a project, a person, a job, anything that has catalyzed, that's been a catalyst for your energy to be like, oh. And just like, leaning in more, 1616 on the time, because you're intrigued, right? This is like intrigue. And I think this is the thing that you might be excited about, but there's like a hesitation that I'm feeling. So I think the hesitation, if there's like a pace thing going on here where you want to, on the one hand, because knights are fire of whatever suit that they're in, right? So they are fast moving. And this, it's almost like this thing that's like, it's like rumbling inside of you, like a rumbling in your heart space, or something about projects that you're working on, or people, and not working on people, yikes, but working on projects, or with people, or regarding people. And I just get this, like, I'm getting the image of like an underground fire because of the imagery on this card here with the little flames licking at the roots. And it's like there's like a fire burning underground. Typically that's a really bad thing, but I feel like this is just, it's like there's something that's stirring within you that's burning away the crap that built up internally, for lack of a better term. So Spirit, can you tell me a little bit about this Six of Wands, please? This Six of Wands. Whoa, both. Okay. 10 of Swords, Temperance. I'm hearing recalibration. So I also have the Hermit and the Hierophant on the bottom. Yeah, and the Moon was on the split, and then I split to the High Priestess. Yeah, there's the Moon again. And I think it was, now I'm intrigued to see where the High Priestess was. Yeah, there was the High Priestess when I split it again. So like moon, that moonlight idea, right? Now it's almost like you're shining a light to, so many thoughts. Okay, so, wow. Okay, so you're putting an end to things that kept you out of balance, I'm getting, but I'm also seeing this sort of expansion, and this is the alchemical process, I think, that is helping you to move through. This is like setting the stage here. This is what's growing. This is the growth. The growth is coming from you really letting go, and knowing that what pain you went through here, the cynicism or the pessimism, even an undercurrent of it where you're like, ugh, God, you're like, again, cool, great, like whatever those things are. And sometimes they come up, like there are times where I'll be driving home from work at a specific hour, and I know that there's a certain area of traffic is going to be awful, but then I catch myself sometimes being surprised by it, and instead of just leaning into it and being like, well, I'm just gonna pick a really good song that I like, or I'm gonna think about really great things, or I'm gonna call somebody so that I can talk to them on the way home, while I'm driving, about and not driving on while you're on the phone. This is through my dashboard, but like, doing something that makes it so that it's not a thing, because I just know that. But then sometimes I can slip into that, and I think it's something that we all do, where we're just like, ugh, about something. But this is the energy here, and I feel like it's important that the alchemical process happening here is that you understand that pain was not without purpose. There's some kind of pain that is not without purpose, and you didn't need the pain to have a purpose. But I feel like this is a radical acceptance of where you are, and that this is like the internal workings of this. Like this is that beautiful, rich woods that are developing, that are growing, right? And I get that this is the translation of the process internally. But I think you're doing beautifully, Scorpio. You're doing beautifully. And I don't know if people have told you that often or recently, but you're doing beautifully. Because I feel like you are shining a light here. You are shining a light. And the Hierophant can show up in a way of, authority, or it can even show up in the reverse in that way. But I feel like this is you. It's like a recalibration and a recommitment to the wisdom that you hold within you, and holding true to that. And holding the light for yourself, knowing that there's a wisdom that you learned from all of this, whatever it is that's happening, that's helping you to just be in this Six of Wands, this sort of victorious energy that you're growing. And it's like, it's very much something that is, I don't want to say creeping up on you, because that sounds like a little not unpleasant, but it doesn't sound great. But it's like, it just sort of, it's like, I imagine this soft wave. So sometimes if I'm in and around the area for doctor's appointment or whatever, around Lake Ontario, it doesn't have huge waves usually in this particular spot that I go to, but it's just these gentle waves that come to the shore and wash over the rocks that are near the shore and sticking out. So when the water levels are high up, the waves will come up and wash over the rock just gently and gently and gently. And it's like this process of your consciousness gently washing over and smoothing any jagged edges that this particular hurt left behind. And I think that's helping with this pace. And that's where I can feel this shift in my heart as I say this. So I feel that for you, Scorpio, and it's really beautiful. And I feel like that's where this sort of, it's clearing away the stuff that wasn't necessary, that was kind of going on under the surface. It was going on under the surface, but this too is a really powerful process, because sometimes, after fires happen in the woods, it creates such a rich soil for growth. We forget that, the devastation and destruction of forest fires is not something it's awful. My heart hurts every time I see it. But what I'm talking about here is sometimes they do constructive burning to prevent dead wood and things like that from becoming the catalyst for something, a much bigger fire later. So it's almost like it's that energy where it's like a constructive planned burn, as opposed to something along those lines. And this could have been unplanned because of the way it's creeping up, but I'm just getting 2222 on the time there. I'm just getting that this is like a slow process, but there's something that has like catalyzed this for you internally. It's catalyzed this for you. The Knight of Pentacles. Spirit, can you please clarify this for me, please? King of Cups. Yeah, Knight of Cups. Eight of Pentacles. Seven of Cups. Oh, an Ace of Wands on the bottom. Look at you go. This is like emotional energy that you're offering to the world. This is like, it's almost like this is how you are, but this is how you feel that you're showing up in the world around you right now. Where it's like and this is water, and more water. So, very apropos for you, my Scorpios. But this is like who you are. You are showing up as this King of Cups, this beautiful, embracing energy, emotional readiness, and release as well. The release happened before, but this is like a release because it's like this flow, right? I'm seeing a wheel that's turning with water on it. You see it at these old mills and things like that, but I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's like a wheel. So some Jupiter energy perhaps, or that might be relevant in terms of the wheel turning, but like the water turning the wheel, and this emotional component that you're in touch with because of whatever this process is that's like caught your eye, or, passions that are stirring or what have you for work, people, projects, things like that. It's like this is how this is who you are, but you feel like you're showing up in this night energy. I think because there's some armor still, but I think that that's normal. And I think it's just about having compassion for yourself and understanding that you don't have to like throw everything into the pot right out of the gate. Like you don't need to do that. It's like it's okay for you to be in this king energy, because the armor doesn't need to exist because it's a different frequency, right? They serve different purposes in the court. So the knight serves the purpose of defending the kingdom and defending, right? That's the purpose. and also acting as a messenger, protector, that kind of thing. The king is leading by example. The king is leading, period. So it's almost like this is your energy as it's actually showing up. So it's just about remembering that you don't have to go out into the world in this sort of, even if it's heartfelt offerings that you sprinkle everywhere because you're you. It's like it's about stepping into the heart-centered space and awareness of yourself as a leader in that, because of the way that the emotionality being how you shine your light. Whoa. This is amazing, Scorpio. This is so good. The energy is excellent. Yeah, and I feel like this is, oh, that popped open there. This is deeply connected to this new, to this like this spark that you feel. And I feel like there's something that is, you're not sure if it's worth your time, but I think that there's a way that your passion and creativity are shining a light right now. And it's important to follow the light that's cast. I'm almost seeing like when I would go camping as a kid, and I'd have to use the bathroom at night. It was like the worst. I remember just being like, don't drink any water past like 7 p.m. Just don't do it, because you have to get up and you'd have to like saunter through the dark. And so what I'm seeing is this like flashlight, and that just, it's an experience that makes me laugh. That was referential to the flashlight on the ground, but just seeing this flashlight on the ground that like it's like follow the light that the flashlight casts, because that more than the things you can't see matters, right? Because that is going to help you avoid pitfalls and trip ups and like little divots in the road that you could trip on otherwise 2626 on the time. So I think that's going to be really important, because it's like we don't always get to see the whole thing. And then this comes into the moonlight as well, and letting the moonlight shine and remembering the importance of that and the light that we shine within, even through things like, shadow work or whatnot, and the integration of all of us. Because I think that as much as we enjoy the sun shining, there's something really powerful and profound about the moonlight radiating and shining as well, right? There was one weekend I went to Manitoulin Island. Well, it was for a week really, to see family, and I got to see the sunset. It was such a rich sunset, and it was one of the supermoons in 2014. And I remember the moonrise coming up over the horizon, and we were out on the water still, and I still see it as one of the most beautiful experiences that I've had on the water and in nature, because it wasn't just like we were on the water, so it was chilly but warm, but it was just, I think about it sometimes, and I have the pictures and reflect on it at times, and I weep at times because it's so beautiful. Like just that being blessed with that kind of perspective. And I think about how that is so consistent. That happens within us all the time, Scorpio, these sunsets and moon rises. And we forget that through dark nights of the soul, we forget that through shadow work, there is still a moonrise happening in us. And to let that do what it does for plants, but inside of us in terms of helping our strength, our immunity, helping us to repair cells. It is a different kind of nourishment, but that's part of the transformative alchemy that's happening here. And I feel like this is the new life, right? This is the new life. Something's being profoundly birthed here. And I feel like it's from joy. After we had a really intense storm here last weekend, there were unofficial reports that it wasn't just like a derecho. It was like 14 tornadoes or something like that, plus. Like it was rough. So I went to the land to really just sit and pray with it and be with it, and to hold it, and to send energy to it because of how much loss there was of trees and things like that. And it's hard to explain, because the feeling that I got from it, and it's connected to this energy, this divine drunkenness and death, this rapture. It's almost like I can't think of a word for it, but the frequency coming from the trees as I was walking through was like, it was mourning, but it was joyful mourning. The frequency was so interesting because I couldn't think of the right word. And I was like, I'm not going to go out of my way to search for it, because it's more important that I just be in the feeling of it so that I recognize it. But it was like this, it was so beautiful. And I feel like that's what's happening here. Like there was this transformative process. And I almost get that this fire from within, burning away the stuff that doesn't matter, is like this baptism from within. I say that often happens through tears, thanks to my friend who mentioned it before, but it's like this beautiful process of like, it's not mourning or loss. It's more of a focus on joy, but also a respect and reverence for what has been let go of, or, you know, the way things were, or something like that. Yeah. Spirit, what messages do you have for my Scorpio, please? My Scorpios. Five of Swords. I feel like you might be tempted to disbelieve that there's something good, like not something good growing, but just something like there's, you know, when something happens, we can be like, I can't believe it. Oh my God, I can't believe it. And then it's like life aligns experiences to reinforce the can't believe it. Right? For example, when I got my car last year, so I got an upgrade because so many things were happening with my old one. I was like, this is like, anyways. And then there was a car shortage. So I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to find anything. But what that did was it valued my car at higher than it would have otherwise. So I was able to, it was excellent because I made more money off of my old car than I would have otherwise. But I remember saying like, I can't believe it. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And then wouldn't you know, within a week, I was rear-ended in a parking lot and everything was fixed and fine. Like insurance covered everything. There was no cost to me. There was no cost to the person it happened, who did it. It just was, but it was like a reminder. I laughed. I laughed so hard because I was like, noted. Thank you, universe. Like it wasn't anything other than just a blip and stress, but I was like, oh, because I couldn't believe that it could be so good that it could just happen. And every single specification that I wanted on the car that I have now, 3131 on the time, every single spec on the car that I have now was on a vision board for what I wanted. Like I just wanted a car that had these features, and I wanted that stuff on it. But then in a car shortage, the day before I went into the dealership to do an oil change or something like that on my car, I was just talking to the dealer and the guys at the shop, and I, just talking to them because I was hanging around and bored, and also they're lovely people. So we were chatting, and he was like, hey, we have a car that just came onto the lot yesterday. Do you want to take a look at it? And it was like literally everything that I'd been looking for, winter tires included, absolutely everything, down to like the tinted windows on the back, the bars for the roof rack so that I could carry kayaks and things like that on there if I wanted to, like every single specification down to the most ridiculous, like partial leather interior, like everything. It was amazing. And it had driven onto the lot the day before, and the price hadn't changed despite the car shortage. So in a car shortage, I was able to literally walk onto the lot with the intention of just going to get an oil change, knowing that I might want to look at a car or two if they have them there. But then it was the exact car there, but it was because I said I can't believe it. And then I was rear-ended. And again, totally fine. It ended up being okay. It was just annoying, but it was a really great reminder of like, oh, that's what happens. Little inconveniences that can convince you that it's not, the amazing things happening. And I feel like that's what this Five of Swords is here. That was a very long preamble, so thank you for your patience with that, Scorpio. But I feel like that's what this Five of Swords is. It's like, it's saying like, I can't believe it to whatever this shift and change is. And I think that there's like, this is where you need to be in the rapturous energy of it and the joy of it, more than being like, whoa, I don't know. I don't know, right? Like it's like falling into your heart center. And this is also reminding me of root chakra energy of it's safe to believe that it's that good, or it's safe to believe in the goodness of something. Yeah. Oh my gosh, my stomach is rumbling. I don't know if you can hear it. If you can, I apologize. But also, it's fine. It just means I'm a little hungry. Five of Wands. Yeah, it's like inner conflict about whether to trust, but I feel like you'll get through it. This doesn't strike me as like long-term conflict. Yeah, 10 of Wands. You're just like, forget it. And you're putting that down. And you're putting it down. And I think a really important question for you in June, Scorpio, is going to be, what would my higher self do? Like how would, there's the Ace of Pentacles. Yeah. It's like as soon as you put the burden down, it's like you can fully accept the truth and the beauty of this in the Ace of Pentacles coming through. It's not just a measure of value, but also a measure of importance and investment. Like it's like that safety to invest in something, to invest your energy in a project. It can be really tricky and tough because we don't know for sure how much of ourselves to invest in something, what to invest in, especially if we, like, when people would come to me and ask often. So when I was doing other work in the community, people would ask me often, you know, to do these little side projects with them or for them. And they typically wouldn't mind, like it wouldn't be a big deal. I would be okay with doing it if it wouldn't take that long. But I think that there's a way that you are seeing, it's like this recalibration. I'm getting again this recalibration, but I think it's coming because you're tapping into your inner sense of wisdom and this, what would your higher self do, right? And it doesn't have to be perfect. We don't have to do it perfectly. We don't have to do it the best. It just, what matters is that it's just aligned here and that we do it from this place. 3535 on the time. So I'm going to pull from the Hedge Witch's Botanical Oracle for you, Scorpio. I hope this has been helpful to give you some insights on how to surf the energy in June. I hope. Oh my gosh. She is so cute. Look at this. I know. So sweet. Okay, so sacred. So we have Hawthorn. So Hawthorn here. Let me grab my book, and then we'll read from that. Hawthorn. Okay. Okay, perfect. So the fruit of the hawthorn, called haws, are edible, raw, and also made into jellies, jams, and syrup. It's a group of various plants which include both bushes and trees. The berries have a flavor similar to ripe apples. Some varieties are quite tart. It is the tree of Beltane, a holiday celebrated on the 1st of May, and a time when it is said the seen and unseen worlds meet. That's like the moonlight and sunlight, right? Hawthorn plays a strong role in many folkloric traditions and is considered a tree sacred to the fairies, as well as being the wood of choice for a witch's broom. There are many historical accounts and artistic depictions of the fairy queen emerging from a hawthorn bush. Planted in a round circle, hawthorn groves were the setting of choice for goddess-centric rituals performed by female practitioners of Druidism. Among the traditions associated with the hawthorn is the belief that it is bad luck to cut down a hawthorn or disturb its branches. When freshly cut, it gives off a scent of death due to the chemical trimethylamine, which is present both in a hawthorn blossom and decaying animal tissue, probably accounting for the tradition of not bringing the blossoms into the home. Oh, that's interesting. This is like your card. This is like your Scorpio. You're all over this. Oh my gosh. Whatever happens, June, you've got this. Don't doubt this. Holy crap. Just had to say that. Hawthorn is truly a hedge witch's friend. The hawthorn blooms early in the northern hemisphere, and traditionally the blossoming hawthorn is essential to May Day celebrations. Hawthorn is truly a hedge witch friend, as there is no plant that embodies more succinctly the definition of Linda striding, or line striding. Oh my God, Linda striding. Of line striding. Or linistriding. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, so forgive me if that's if I botched that a little bit. In addition to standing at the threshold of the unseen realm, this tree has in fact long been considered a portal. The oracle property of the hawthorn is sacred because of its prominent place in magical traditions and the legends and lore associated with it. How does the word sacred apply to your life? Your value system can be sacred. It helps you create a hierarchy of importance and place emphasis on whatever is most valuable in your life. Personal rituals, objects, and spaces can be another aspect of this oracle property. Creating sacred space for yourself, either with meditative practice or physical objects, is an important part of self-care, and it can be pivotal in enabling your connection with creativity and your deeper self. The tarot's magician and high priestess are very reminiscent of this plant, as they too stand at the threshold between worlds and marshal strength and power from both unseen and seen realms. Oh, Scorpio, I feel like you are in this high priestess and magician energy this month. Do not doubt your power. Oh my goodness, do not doubt your power, because I feel like that's where the sunlight and moonlight were kind of coming together in your energy. They were coming together in your energy. This is so powerful. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. Oh, this is great. Okay. Spirit, what messages do you have for Scorpio for this June creative forecast, please? If you would like to see my cat being an absolute ham, she's quite tired now because she needs rest from her rest. Like, I know you do. I know. No one's judging. Nope. She was flopping around like a little fish out of water. It was very cute. She's putting on a little show. Sensuality. Okay, so sensuality. Sensuality and pleasure are my birthright, to be experienced with blissful joy. I honor and embrace my sexuality, recognizing the sacred sexual connection with myself and the intimate partner of my choice, or partners, if someone is polyamorous. It is safe for me to be sensual and sexual and be respected for this. Pleasure and enjoyment are good, clean, and healthy. I experience pleasure. I almost get this as like a letting yourself experience joy, or like there's some kind of safety, like it's like remembering that it's safe for you to experience that, or something along those lines. My cat might start to wriggle around like a little fish again. I don't know. She looks like she's ready. Oh, ease and grace. How beautiful is that? Okay. Love is the gentle, powerful presence that radiates through me when I quieten and deepen. It is safe for me to be gentle and graceful. I follow my heart's desire and take the path of least resistance. It is easy for me to be gentle and graceful when I connect to the rhythms of the earth and the universe. I flow gently and easily. Wow, I'm getting this image of like, this very gentle waterfall. When I went to the Elora Gorge last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, I put footage from that. You'll see the rushing water that has like an iron tinted ore color to it, but this image of like a gentle waterfall cascading down limestone. And when I hear that, I also see and smell this like rich decomposition in the woods that is indicative of things past, but then also what's to come. So I feel like with that ease and grace and sensuality, I feel like there's something really powerful about alchemizing that energy for you this month, Scorpio. Big, big, big. Spirit, what messages do you have for my creative collective for Scorpio? My happiness can be measured by the level of my faith in love. Wow, I haven't seen that one in a very long time. Scorpio, I think this is good energy. This is like, it's like a renewal of hope. Like I said, it's like a recalibration and a reinvigoration. And, you know, what would your higher self do? You are divinity in blue jeans. I keep thinking back to this, right? The sunlight and moonlight, that dance between them. If I want to feel supported, I must support myself. Very simply. I think this is exceptional energy for you going into this month, Scorpio. Oh, sorry. I think this is exceptional energy. It's like you're in the driver's seat more than you know. And I think it's just like, it's like remembering. Sometimes these epiphanies happen for half a second. But the really powerful part here is that this is like savor that. Let that epiphany last. Milk it for everything that it's worth. Because I feel like there's something very profound and deeply powerful about remembering this part of you right now, Scorpio. So that, however, my darlings, is your reading. I hope that it resonated. If it did, please like and subscribe. I'd love to have you on the channel, and I'm so grateful for your energy. This was a fantastic reading. Thank you for showing up here on this channel if this resonated for you, because it's your energy here is very powerful and important, and I feel like to those around you, it will probably be much of the same. So thank you for showing up. It's beautiful. Your energy is beautiful. There are other ways you can connect with me on the channel, so feel free to do that. But if this is where we part, my darling Scorpios, I hope that wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, it finds you so very well and wrapped up in all of the love that you've got to give other people. So thank you so much and take care. Have a great June.